sound is good enough on this or not, but it goes. Man, well, this is a guitar lesson. Yeah, this is for people who can't play guitar, can play guitar, think they can play guitar really good. This is still a guitar lesson. In this lesson today, well, it's a guitar lesson, but here's a guitar. Guitar? Okay, that is a guitar, because you've never seen one before. It's curvy, it's got the hole in it. P90 pickups. A guitar, that's the only guitar you're going to see in this lesson. I'm not going to play a guitar. You're not going to hear guitar music. I hear music from next door to working on something or other, and you guys have the radio playing in the background. That's what inspired this video. Figured I'd put a guitar lesson out. A guitar is a string instrument. All string instruments are string instruments because it's a stringed instrument. If you have a tube, a flute, horn, penny whistle, whatever. It's a tube instrument, like a hollow, big fat string or something. Piano is even a string instrument. If you look inside of a piano, you can see big fat strings, a whole bunch of strings. Violin is a stringed instrument. I think the saw with the bow is sort of like almost a stringed instrument. String. You only have one string. Okay, you got a guitar or a string instrument. You have one string. It doesn't matter if you just take a string and stretch it across something. You're still going to end up with the same characteristics and stuff. First of all, you're going to have a chromatic scale. Means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, evenly spaced. And if you do a do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, which is a Western scale, you'll find that there's a gap on the strings. There's a 2-part gap, then there's a 3-part gap, and it repeats in an octave, another 2-part gap, and another 3-part gap. Same thing as like on a piano. Piano has a string for every chromatic note, and where the gaps are, they put the black keys. You got the 2 keys, and the 3 keys, and the 2 keys, and the 3 keys. It goes all across by 5 or 7 different ways on the piano. Now, if you're using a horn or a flute or any hollow instrument, it's the same thing. You're going to end up with the 2 spacing, and the 3 spacing, and the 2 spacing, and the 3 spacing on the Western scale. Those notes on this string could be called like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And they're also known as do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and do. A chord which reinforces a particular note. Let's say you take a note and you want to make a chord that reinforces that note. You space it evenly, a 1, 3, and a 5. And if you're into jazz, you also put a 7. It's known as stacking thirds. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and for jazz, 6, 7. Now, if you want to make a minor chord out of it, you flatten a 3. 1 chromatic note difference lower. If you want a Western scale that's minor, you flatten a 3 and you flatten a 6. Some people also flatten a 7. It's up to you. So if you're playing a chord, you got 1, 3, 5 stack thirds, and you want it minor, you take the third and you move it down 1. Now if you want 6, 7, 8, 9, you take the 5th one and you move it up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and stuff. So those are the only adjustments on the chord. You could have a regular chord, 1, 3, 5, minor chord, 1, flat 3, 5, or 6th and 7, which is 1, 3, 5 plus. So there's 5. You don't hit the 5, you just hit the other one. Now you're up. Now, I said this is a guitar lesson, but you're not going to see a guitar. You already saw a guitar. A cheap one with P90s on it. And a 12 string that was falling apart when I got it. The inside was warping, and I will moisture, straighten it out, and popsicle stick holding it and stuff. And there are elixir strings on it which last forever. Those are nice strings. The other one's got flat wounds, Diodario or Gibson. I think it's Diodario. It's a light gauge, but not the lightest. The lightest one snaps the string. So if you want to play your notes, you got your 1, 3, 5. You have to find a way of playing that do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do over and over again, knowing it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And when you're going to adjust your chords and stuff, it's like 1, 3s, and 5s being adjusted. 6s, 7s, 8s being adjusted. It's not. How does this sound? How does that sound? This is a dominant, which is a 5th, or this is a subdominant, which is a 4th. You don't do that. So you got your string, you play 1, 3, 5. All right, if you were strumming a chord, what's the difference between strumming a chord and just playing 3 notes? You play 3 notes any way you want to. That's called arpeggiating, arpeggiating the chord. That sounds prettier, tickling the ivories on the piano. Or on a horn, you can only play 1 note at a time. So you have to arpeggiate if you want a chord. You have to play 1, 3s, and 5s. 1, 3, 5, 3, 5, 1, 1, 3, 5. Yeah, but it's pretty. Music is basically the prettiness of it. It's not the how cool it is. All right, let's say you're in a band, or you're trying to put a band together, or you're a really great guitar player or something. You're going to need the stuff that I'm telling you about this stringed instrument thing if you want the band to sound good. You'll notice that a lot of bands don't even have a band until you get like someone with the gonads to sing, and someone who can drum that's really cool, and a keyboardist that knows the music stuff. When you get those 3 together, just add a bass and you got a band. You didn't use drums. Drums make the band. No drums, no band. Nice loud amplifiers are always cool too. If you're doing like a stage or an audience or something, they just expect music. I mean, if you stand there silent, they don't like it. If you make a note of any kind, they love it. Till they throw you out or start tossing things. Not money. Money's for strippers, I guess. Not a stripper, you're a musician or something. So, guitar list. Oh yeah, on a guitar, the strings are put a certain way, except the last 2, which are like low or high or something. Which allows for only like 1 chord shape. And see, these books are a million chords and stuff, and like, it's just like 1 chord shape. Depends on which note you start from, you call it, the root, fundamental, the tonic, whatever you want to call it. Whatever note you start from, it's the same shape from there. Depends on what string it is and what position. But you'll find that it's a reoccurring pattern across the strings, down the fretboard. You'll pick that up on your own. It's not a problem. And if it's hard to play, think of muscle memory. You practice it, and you'll get better at it. You continue practicing it, and it doesn't take that long. Like within a week, you got it. And if you can't like play the 2 strings on the F chord stuff, don't worry about it. Hitching a local music shop, find cheap electric guitars, try them all out, find one that's really easy to play. Don't pay over $100 for it. done. Now you need to practice it. If you're playing electric. Now the pedal stuff, don't go with the pedal stuff. Here's a good amp. Alright, this amp here has built-in sound effects. That's why it's a good amp. A little over $100. The little box on the top is not a pedal. That is a looper in case you want to practice alone. You want to put down a rhythm, it'll record it. So it's a recorder. It records, you can loop over it. And this thing here, that's a cheap amp. It's got some effects, but it's a drum machine. So I got drums. I put a rhythm track in, and I can play whatever junk I want to over it. Alright, you can practice that. Or you can just play a real guitar. The best music comes from the islands, South American islands. Jazz is good too, and the classical fine. But rock is hippies. Hippies, yeah, because it was like the freedom of music. You can do it what you want to with it. It sounds good, it's fine. Which is music is, it's an art form. You want to be the Beatles, or you want to be a rock and roll hero or something. Yeah, skip that. It's art. You draw pictures, you finger paint, whatever it is, it comes out good, you like it, that's your art. Now, if you want to just play in a gallery and get millions for it, that's a whole different story. That's marketing and stuff. That's for creation of the art. It sounds pretty, you made it, it's your art. What else we got here? Okay, back to the string instrument, chord pattern, 1-3-5. Now, if you take your notes, any two notes that sound good together, any scales that sound good superimposed, like Brian Wilson's Good Vibrations is a superimposed two-chord pattern thing he's doing on the bass. So if you're playing like straight scale, and then you put, yeah, I gotta add this here. If you're doing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and you want to do in chords, I don't know why, but this is the way it works. The first note is a major, the second note is a minor, third note is a minor, the fourth note is a major, fifth note is a major. So 1, 4s, and 5s are majors. 6s and 7s are minors. Actually, it's a minor diminished on a 7, but no one cares. It's a note difference you never hear. So it's a minor and a 6. And when you get to 8, it's back to the 1 and the 8 and your major. You have to know that. If you play it backwards, it sounds like the Ohio Players' Sweet Sticky Thing. Now, if you take that scale and you're playing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, walking down, and you play a straight scale, chromatic, then you learn the Brian Wilson's Good Vibrations. It's superimposed which two notes sound good together, which patterns superimposed sound good. Now, for the chords, you're not going to play cowboy chords. Cowboy chords are just above the little thing on the top which holds the strings called the nut. And above there gives you an extra note. So the open ones just have the extra note attached. You play it on the 12th fret too and do the same thing. Sounds cool. Alright, now you got your stringed instrument. You're an accomplished guitarist. My guitar lesson is successful, and you can arpeggiate a chord. You can change it to wherever you want to. You can walk through the steps in a chord scale, which is the major, minor, major, major, minor. 1.5 is major, everything else is minor. And every time you change a chord, you can change the scale that you're playing along with it, or just something that sounds good with it, some other scale. But if you go from the 1, it's going to be major. You go to 2, it's going to be minor. Go to 2, 3, it's minor. 4, major. Sometimes they put a 7th on the 5th, but it doesn't really matter. Now, what makes music? Music is like Kermit the Frog reaching his curled up tongue up over a lizard lips or something, up and catching a fly and coming back. it sticks out, it extends out as far it reaches, and then it comes back home. It's called like I don't know what in the resolve or the return. I consider like rocking, like between the one and the four chord, one and four chord or something, rocking slow. But it has a return resolve on it. So it has a tension, oh yeah, tension and release they call it too, in case you're really into jazz as a musician. I'm so, yeah. uh, so chord scale is one major, two minor, three minor. I don't know why it is, but it is. Now, if you're doing this rocking back and forth, you're reaching out, and then you're bringing it back to the home plate or home base or whatever you're doing there, resolve and tension release or whatever, and you want to do just beyond. Let's say you're doing rock and roll and you're doing 1/4, and then you hit the 5, just beyond, and then return. So 1/4 and 5 is basically rock and roll stuff. They also call that, what's that called? It's a stupid name for it. 12 bar blues. Yeah, blues and rock are the same thing, what's slower. I mean, the foundation of it is, yeah, the lead stuff is like different. I think my phone's going out here. Yeah, let me put a charger to it here. Extended reach here. All right, so you got your chords. Just play a minimal chord. Like if you're playing a seventh chord, people play rock and stuff. They just play a upside down triangle things like a D chord only upside down. We play that for seventh. Rock chords. Yeah, E chord, the A chord. Yeah, you're pretty much set because all the patterns are the same. C, A, E, whatever. There's adjustable brightness or something on this thing. Whatever. Technical difficulty. Plug this in here. All right, back to our rocking and rolling and reeling with feeling or whatever. Yeah, charging up a little. All right, let me get this video out of here. All right, so whatever you're playing, if it's a string instrument too, all music stuff the same. As long as you go through, it's capable of making sound at different frequencies or whatever. It'll have an octave. It'll have a center, dominant, fifth. It'll have a fourth in the middle. Yeah. It'll have have the same characteristics. And when you turn it into the Western scale, the one stacking thirds will produce the chords you want. Your tension release, jazz. When they hit that fifth, they make a fancy backward, back and forth return. That's the 1625 thing. 145 is rock, 1625 is jazz. And when you hit a 2, it's going to be a minor. When you hit a 3, it's going to be a minor. When you hit a 5, it's going to be a major or 7. When you hit a 4, it's going to be a major. It doesn't matter what instrument you're doing. If you're playing it on a saw, if you're playing it on a bow string with a bow thing, or if you're playing it on a jug, whatever. The string instrument just makes the music with the string. Now, as for the Beatles and the rock and roll, whatever, that's a matter of luck marketing, and they were actually good to start with, and they had a new sound. If you repeat someone else's music, oh yeah, that's right, repeating other people's music. If you're looking at the like treble clef and all that stuff, and you're trying to read notes, that's a stupid system. But the C sitting just right above the middle. Anything above it is like do re mi fa sol la ti up, and do re mi fa sol la ti backward down. So you get some like bearing if you want to like feel it around and sound it out. chords go together in chord scales like the 1-4-5, 1-6-2-5, and different chord progressions. Alright, you're gonna need drums for your. Yeah, oh, yeah, and if you're ever gonna sing songs or do it, you have your sheet music, follow the words. You could just talk the words and play the microphone. Microphone is a good instrument, so the synthesizer and your voice is a synthesizer of some sort. Not mine. No. Okay, what else? Music. Guitar. Best chord to use. Alright, you play like a D, and you hit that extra note on the G thing. It sounds like, wow, that's really cool. It's like I'm your captain from Grand Funk. A lot of people do that, except the chord sounds pretty, it's perfect. But if you move it down one and play a D minor, and then another D minor, and then a D, and then, yeah, you play the whole chord scale. The land of chord scale is, according to Marty Schwartz. And look him up on YouTube. Marty Schwartz. Ooh, good ones on there. Paul Davis, Marty Schwartz, Tomo Fuji something or Futs, yeah, Berkeley. And that's the guy that taught, what's his name? I can't remember his name. There's a lot of good musicians and a lot of good music, and you have to know the basic foundation of stuff if you want to have the freedom to mess around with the stuff. Here goes that light again. Why are you doing that? Stop that. So, make some music, make some art, do some finger painting. Oh yeah, and if you're finger painting, you're basically portraying light on paper, which is basically reflections of stuff in the dark spot. So, take all the dark spots, put them in, take the filter color, put them in. Basically, you're working like a printer or something, unless you're using imaginary stuff. And if you're trying to interpret Picasso, all the parts of the picture are there. They're just in different places. You have to search for them so you can put it together. It was nuts. There's plenty of good artists. That was not one of them. He started out basically okay, but then he got strange. So. Okay, enough guitar lesson video. I don't know how long I'm gonna keep this thing up on the web. So if you want to, you can like download it or whatever, or erase it or whatever you think it's worth. Learn it though. Save you a lot of trouble. Like I trying to learn music theory and going through pentatonic scales and wandering around the circle of fifth and the fourth, and I can't understand. I think substitution chords too. That's another thing. Let's say you're playing a chord progression, chord pattern, and you take the note out of one of the chords and make another chord out of it. You substitute for accent. It sounds really cool. It's like superimposing like notes and chords and stuff. Alright, enough of this guitar lesson video. I like that exorcism video too. It's about an old girlfriend I had. About to get married, she ran off. I didn't know there's 5 other guys in the band. Started out so pure, so innocent, she was perfect. Too perfect. If something appears too perfect, it's too perfect. It turned out looking like Linda Blair in The Exorcist. Really bad. And then she took off. Like, before I, like, figured it out. Like, took a while. Alright, that was... That's just giving her the, whatever, bird. That's the only video I have. Sometimes I put radio stuff up. If you want anything about radio or electronics or engineering in general, just mention a comment and I'll see what I can do with it. So this is going to be the end of our guitar lesson video, and there was no guitar playing. And yeah, have fun creating your art. See you later.